Hey everybody, Yankee here. I think all of you know that I am no fan of internet censorship, social media censorship. Not a big proponent of it. In fact, it hurts me because I'm someone who lives my life trying to further a cause. If anyone here knows anything about me, they know what I care about when it comes to guns and the Second Amendment is that continues to be our right. I am an activist. I'm not a salesman. I'm not an entertainer. I am an activist first and foremost. My goal is to maintain the integrity of the First and Second Amendment especially, but the entire Constitution really. And that's what I'm here for. Not here to be popular, not here to get famous, not here to make a lot of money. I do like to try to help as many causes as we can while we're doing this with the money we can make, but that's not my primary goal. But I want to clear one thing up here. One thing a lot of people seem to get wrong. A lot of people that are not fans of social media censorship scream, it's censorship and it's a violation of our constitutional rights, our First Amendment right. Or sometimes they'll say Second Amendment. But it isn't. That's the thing. It is not a violation of our rights. Social media, most of the platforms we use, Facebook, Instagram, YouTubes, those are all privately owned. They're private property, basically. Now, you could make the argument that nowadays, well, they use public utilities that we pay for with our taxpayer money. In fact, we fund most of the things they do thanks to corporate welfare. You could say, well, they shouldn't have the right to do that. That's a different argument. But as far as it being a violation of our First Amendment rights, as long as it's privately held companies with private rules, then it's not a violation of our First Amendment rights. People seem to forget that the First Amendment basically says that you can say what you want and the government can't censor you. They can't stop you from speaking against them or stating your opinion. The government doesn't say anything about private industry. Private social media has every right to decide what is and what isn't on their platform. And believe me, I am someone who is a victim of this. YouTube has shadow banned me. They even contacted my network and said, hey, we're not going to allow his videos to show up in general recommendations anymore. And all this other stuff where my network was like, well, you're not profitable to us anymore. Goodbye. So they're doing that to me right now. But here's the thing. I think it's their right to do that if they're a private company. But then some people right now are going to say, well, you're a hypocrite because you're saying this isn't violating our First Amendment rights, but then you say these social media companies shouldn't be able to do this. Well, that's not true. I don't say they shouldn't be able to do this because they shouldn't have the right to censor on their own property. I say that they're in a very murky area and they shouldn't be allowed to censor because they get special government protections for not censoring. They basically went to the government and said, hey, we're just a community bulletin board where we let anybody post whatever they want. We're not editors. We're not producers. We don't censor this stuff. We don't collate it. We don't decide what goes out there. So therefore, we can't be held responsible. And the government said, okay, yeah, we'll give you all these special protections, tax breaks and everything. And then they go ahead and they censor. They censor anyway. So if they're censoring, well, then they're acting as an editor and they're responsible for what's on their site. So if they decide what is and isn't on their site, the things that they decide is on there, they should be liable for. If it's something that is later found to be libelous, slanderous, dangerous, well, that should fall on them. They decided it should be there. The very fact they're deciding what shouldn't be there means they're deciding other things should be. And that's the only time I say social media shouldn't censor. It's when they're getting these special rights. And that's why I agree with this. That's why I agree with this idea that they shouldn't be allowed to censor guns, etc. Because they're receiving special protections for it. That's my point of view. And I also do believe that, hey, taxpayers are funding a lot of what they're doing. They're using all taxpayer-funded infrastructure. We should be the ones setting the rules, not them. I believe that argument too. But as far as it being our First Amendment right to post about guns on the internet, there is no such thing. That's not the argument. Like I said, I will not stand up and say, I have a First Amendment right to say and do whatever I want, because that's not true in the real world either. That's why slander and libel exist. Because if you damage somebody else, they can come after you. The government, however, can't preemptively silence you. And it's the same thing with social media. They can decide what's on there. But if they decide what's on there, if they decide more specifically what's not on there, then they should be held responsible for what is on there, and that's not happening. So as long as they get these government protections, they should not be able to target conservative issues, liberal issues, guns, anything, because they should not be editing. But I think we all know that's exactly what they're doing, and that is wrong. That is big business and big money, once again, using their politician tools to write the rules in their favor to where they have all the benefits and none of the liability, and that isn't right.